Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. Today we're talking the NHL news and notes. Let's just jump right into it. Talk about these Buffalo Sabres. What is happening, Buffalo? Goodness gracious. You have your last win was November 23rd. November 23rd was the last win. They've lost 8 games in a row. 6 of the losses have been by 1 goal. And 2 of them are an OT and 1 was a shootout. I mean, come on. I mean, and you just had your general manager, Kevyn Adams, give this. I wouldn't say it was a great talk, right? But he had a press conference. You know, he said, "Hey, you guys wanted me out here to be held accountable," and he came out there, and which one thing I respect about that, like, you know, Buffalo is like really going through it. They're really struggling, and it's frustrating for people who are spending money on this team to like be like, "Hey, why should I continue spending money on this team? You guys aren't trying hard enough, or you're not trying to be better." Currently, Buffalo has played 29 games, has 26 points, 11 wins, 14 losses, 4 OT losses. Currently 2-5-3 in their last 10. And again, but they've lost their last 8. So, and they're a -8 on their goal differential. I mean, and they're losing at home too, right? They've won 6 times at home, or they've won 6 regulation wins at home, 9 losses, and 3 overtime losses. And so, Kevyn Adams talks about this, and I think it's so interesting because to me it's just an excuse. And what he's done is he said he's like, oh man, I tried. I'm trying, man. You know, and Jason Zucker was a great 1-year contract, $5 million, great contract for them to pull up. He looks like he's playing really well. He played really well against the Detroit Red Wings the other day, who actually won, which is honestly crazy. But like to me, I'm like, okay, like you're trying, but I need more than you're just trying. I need that you're actually, you know, what's happening. Like I know this past summer they looked to try and pick up Marty Necas, who is killing it this season. I mean, I think he's one of he's top 5 in scoring in the NHL, which would be huge. But mind you, like a team like the Buffalo Sabres currently have $8 million in cap space right now. So that could be picking up guys on waivers. Like you should be looking to pick up guys on waivers. You should be looking to pick up guys for deadline. Like you should be looking to make a push this year, and it's just not happening. And I think Buffalo Sabres fans are kind of like, "What is happening? What's the goal?" Because you were supposed to get better. Because last year they did do better. They were in the playoffs hunt up until the end, pretty much. And so, I mean, they were fighting for quite a bit. And so for me, I'm like, what's the plan? Because again, man, that is my favorite. What's the plan? I honestly just got to put a shirt on a shirt because I am asking them about the Buffalo Sabres. I'm asking about the Ottawa Senators. I'm asking that about the Sabres, Wings. I want to know what the plan. Again, Pittsburgh. What's the plan? I feel like that's what I'm always asking. And so a couple of things that I want to note again. We talked about the well actually I'll go to Kevyn Adams' press conference. One thing he talked about, and this is the quote that's going around everywhere, that he said, we're Buffalo, we don't have palm trees, we do have taxes. And I'm like, okay, like you're using those as excuses because you look at a team like Edmonton Oilers have drafted really well. They have McDavid and Draisaitl, so people want to go there because they have a winning culture. Winnipeg Jets are doing phenomenal right now. They don't have palm trees. Like they don't have great. It's Canada. They don't have great taxes. Minnesota Wild, mind you, it is like the home of hockey, right? And a lot of guys are from there, but like they have been irrelevant for. I don't think they've ever won a second round. I don't think. And so they've never do a conference finals at the most. Like they maybe won a second round, but like to me, like they're such a mid team. They've never been relevant enough to actually like people wanting to invest in these, and maybe they're investing in the sense that like they're people are from there, right? So that's when you're like, oh, it's my team because I'm from there. It's like I'm from Detroit, so like I support the Red Wings. But when they were doing shit, like I was like, oh, like Dallas, like I have 3 teams that I follow. I have the Detroit Red Wings, San Jose Sharks, Dallas Stars. And when Sharks were doing well, I was following them. Red Wings were doing well. They picked up Erik Karlsson. I was like, oh, sweet, let's go. I got my Erik Karlsson jersey right here, right? Like so, and you kind of move it. I'm not giving up on the Red Wings. They're just not good right now. They're not fun to watch. Right now, Buffalo's just not fun to watch. And you're telling me, like, you bring all these young guys, which is great. you have a ton of young guys, you have a ton of talent, and I think this team will be very good in the future. But the problem is what is the plan now? You have a guy like a young core, Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins. Again, you brought Jason Zucker as a good veteran leader. Who let's check out how well he's doing right now. 20 points, 28 games, awesome. For a quick 1-year contract, like that's great. I love to see that. Again, honestly performing well up to his contract of $5 million. You trade for Ryan McLeod, who's an RFA at the end of this year, which is a restricted free agent, which means that the Buffalo Sabres retain his rights, so that no one else can sign him unless they offer sheet him, which is something I can go over later. But basically, they own his rights unless someone wants to pay a lot of money for him. And one thing I heard, and I thought this was so interesting because like you're like, oh, we made the thought process was that hey, we tried to pick up Marty Necas, and Marty Necas is again a great team, they're a great player, and he's playing super well. And so we'll pull up his stats too because it's honestly amazing that how well he's doing because you're like, oh, dude, it's Marty Necas. Like it's just I think he was like 13th overall, like nothing too crazy. He's not like a first overall draft pick kind of guy, but he is just like killing it. And mind you, he signed a 2-year contract this past year for only $6.5 million. He's currently 43 points in 28 games, which is a 1.54 points per game. Every 2 games, he's scoring 3 points. That's amazing. That's an amazing point total for a guy only making $6.5 million. Mind you, that's like Connor McDavid pace. Like that is, there's 82 games in a season. If he plays all 82, they're looking at 120 points. Like that's amazing for a guy making $6.5 million. Like that's a steal. Again, drafted 12th overall. So, as opposed to Buffalo made a huge push for him, and that's great. I'm so glad you tried. I'm really glad you tried. It didn't work, and the problem is you can't have just one. You can't put your eggs in all in one basket. You have to try multiple things. Like, are you looking at the guys are on waivers, right? Like guys are getting sent out to the minors. Do you want to try them out? Just try them out and see if it works. Like it's just like you need like some spark because right now like there's 8 losses in a row is tough. That I know you can't win the Stanley Cup in the fall or in the winter. Like you can't win the Stanley Cup before Christmas, but you can lose the Stanley Cup before Christmas because at this rate they're not looking like a playoff team. It looks like they probably should just tank this season. It's like, well, what are you gonna do? Like you're gonna sell off a bunch of guys. Like you're gonna have to sell off like a guy like Sam Lafferty's hurt. Like you're probably trying to re-sign Ryan McLeod, but like Jordan Greenway has one year left. Like, are you gonna make anything off him? Jason Zucker, well, you don't want to sell him because once you sell him, the might as well just say the whole season. And then Nicholas Aube-Kubel again, Stanley Cup winner, but I mean, he's not gonna get you much. What are you gonna do here? Again, you have Dahlin, he's injured right now currently. Like you have Bowen Byram. What are you gonna try? You traded Casey Middlestad out and brought in Bowen Byram. Like you're gonna try to Bowen Byram now? Like what are you doing here? Like what's the plan? And so and one other thing I thought was really interesting, and this just shows you, and this guy's young. This guy again, Owen Power is a first overall draft pick, right? Number 1 guy in the draft. He's looking like he's gonna be a good player. I think he's sitting at like a half point per game right now. And he's a good player. He's good defensive. He has 17 points in 28 games, so 0.6 points per game. This is the quote he has. He has, I guess against the Rangers, who they lost to this past night, or just tonight. He goes, in the third period, I think we put some pressure on them. I think, like, you should know. You should be putting your heart over the bar, putting everything on putting everything out there. And it's just, it's so frustrating because I'm, like that's like I want you pissed. I don't want to I didn't even put some. No, I want you pissed. And I read that. I didn't watch the video. I will concede that. But like I want scathing. I want we weren't good enough. We sucked. Like I want be pissed. Like it feels like it feels like a lack of pride. And Buffalo is a great market. They sell that place out so well. When teams are going, and you know how I know that Buffalo fans show up? Look at the Buffalo Bills. Guess what? They have taxes. They don't have palm trees, and people come and see the Buffalo Bills. They're out there. It is December. People are gonna be out there topless, shirtless. Men are gonna be jumping on tables because that's a thing they do in Buffalo. And because they're so excited about the Buffalo Bills. And by the way, mind you, they have an outdoor arena. They have no fucking roof, and guys are still out here shirtless, partying in the parking lot because they're so excited about the Buffalo Bills. And I understand, like, they have a great quarterback, but like, you have great players. Like, they have great with snarl. Like, Dahlin is I think he's gonna be he's new captain, right? Young captain. And so maybe the idea around having a young captain is you need to surround him with vets so that he can learn from them and that they can help support him, right? And help guide him into the next era, right? There's a reason that Chicago brings in Nick Foligno. He was a former captain, and he is now the current captain of the Chicago Blackhawks because guess what? Who he's mentoring right now? Connor Bedard. Nick Foligno has this. They brought him in, traded for him. It's contract ended, and they signed him to a 2-year deal. Because those 2 years, it's this year and next year, he is training Connor Bedard how to be a captain. Because Connor Bedard is going to be one of the best players of his generation, and you need to teach this kid because you're the best player. You're almost on every team. The best player is the captain. For most teams, right? Some teams have like older captains. I think Jared Spurgeon for the Minnesota Wild, not the best defenseman anymore on the Minnesota Wild, but he's been captain for a very long time. So there's some guys like that who have that leadership capability, right? But you need to be able to perform as well. And so Connor Bedard can perform, and Nick Foligno has been a captain before, and he's showing him by being a leader in the locker room. And Dahlin might not know how to do that yet. And that's why you bring in good vets. You bring in a guy like I said, Jason Zucker. And that's, by the way, he's the only 30-year-old, like above 30-year-old, and he's 32. Everyone else is in their mid-20s. They're either like 22, 23, or not, like to 28. Like, these are guys that have been in the NHL for a bit, but like, you need grizzled vets. You need guys who, like it doesn't have to, you don't have to be like spend like a couple of years, right? Like, you just need like guys who have been around the block, who have been like, so as an example, the Red Wings is a bad example, but like they bring in Tarasenko. Tarasenko has won. Red Wings have brought Tarasenko in, who has won 2 Stanley Cups. He's not performing like he has at 2 Stanley Cups, but I'm seeing the way he's talking to Marco Kasper on the ice, and which is huge. Like, hey man, X, Y, and Z. You can see him get a point and being and mentoring the young kids. Marco Kasper is playing his first full season in the NHL, and he's showing the kid how it's done, and he's giving him advice and talking to him about it. And I love that. And like, that's not on the point sheet, right? Tarasenko's putting up the points in that case, but you need good mentors that are going to be able to show these kids how to do this properly, how to talk to refs, like how to conduct yourself, like when to square up, like how to fight back, how to speak to the media, right? They're seeing these guys and they're having these one-on-one conversations, right? There's a reason that Macklin Celebrini in San Jose is living with Joe Thornton, a seasoned Hall of Famer vet, right? Will be Hall of Famer. There's a reason that Will Smith is living with Patrick Marleau with the San Jose Sharks. Again, guy who has played the most NHL games in the league ever. A seasoned vet. Again, these guys aren't even on the team. Why are there not like Buffalo Sabres alumni that are like, hey, let's bring them in, right? Like something like that, right? Like, and so it's frustrating. I'm mad. I'm mad for the Buffalo Sabres fans. Like that's my issue. And I'm mad for them. I want better for the Buffalo fans. Like I want better for them. And so I'm sad for them, and I just don't know what we want next. Like I don't know what's next. But in my opinion, you got to trade for somebody. Like, you got to bring in a UFA who has, again, just bring in a UFA. Like some guy that is on his way out. He's probably not going to resign. Bring in a veteran, right? Again, Alex Nylander, AHL guy, bring him in. Why not? Just try him out. He's on waivers today, which waivers means that he's getting sent down to the minors. So the idea of waivers is that any team can claim him, which means that we're trying to keep this guy. He had an NHL job. Toronto's like, hey, we don't need you on the roster anymore, so we're taking away your NHL job. And so what you do is when you put someone on waivers, you say, hey, anybody can take this player, so you can keep him in the NHL. And I just don't know. I don't know if anyone's gonna pick him up, right? But I mean, that's kind of the idea around it, that you can actually like pick up a guy like him. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm looking at guys who are available right now. up, like who could be trade assets, like just even like pick up as like a veteran, like Jacob Chikrin. I think he's playing Buffalo. Like you have a Yanni Gord, he's 32, right? Like if imagine you don't need Aaron, you do not need an Aaron Ekblad, you do not need another a defenseman. But like there's guys you can pick up. Like I don't know, it's just you got to be calling every team, be like, hey, like so Nick Robertson is one that Steve Dangle podcast talked about. That's a guy who is quickly losing opportunity. He's trying, he's working really hard. It's just not clicking. And so if you could trade out a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick for him to come back, like cool, like try this out. It might work. It might not, but like give the fans something to hope around. Like, oh, let's try Nick Robertson. Let's just it cost me a 4th-round pick. Okay, just try it. And so, and I'm looking at the Red Wings too. Like they had so many defensemen, so they traded Olimata and they're like, oh, we're going to use the young guys instead because that's more exciting. And you have to change the locker room up a little bit. Is it working fully? No, but you know what they did recently? They had so many goalies injured. You had Talbot and Lyon out because both had injury. So they bring up Husso from the minors because they waived him. He was a starter. And they brought in Kosa, and they had Kosa as a backup for a couple of games. And then Husso was playing super well. And then against the game versus Buffalo, shits the bed, lets 3 goals in the first period. And then so what they do is Red Wings change out, put Kosa in for the second period. Oh, dude, like it's exciting, right? And he looked a little nervous, I admit, but he was his first NHL game ever. So in the second period, lets 2 goals in, and that's tough. And they were great plays. So I don't totally put it on him. I think it's hard to get up to speed of NHL because it's a very fast game. And so, but in the third period, shut it down. He was totally solid, and that's what you have to see. You see the guys rally behind something, and Red Wings end up tying it with like the last in the last 5 minutes of the game, which was, by the way, it's 5 goals. 5 goals on each side ended up having me scored to go to overtime. And then overtime, no guys get even a shot because they're so scared to lose the game. And Red Wings win in a shootout. And how exciting is that? As Kosa is the goalie in his debut, wins his first game, gets the game-winning puck. Is the first goalie to win during his debut in a shootout in a relief effort, right? Because Uzo was bad. They took Uzo out. And so I just don't know what. I just need Buffalo to do something to spark it, right? You can't bring up a young guy. Everyone's a young guy. So bring in a veteran, bring in someone that just kind of just like a Ryan Reeves type, right? Like a guy that's just a vibes guy. Just change it up. So that's my opinion. Let me know what your thoughts are on Buffalo, because I'm frustrated for them. I'm frustrated for you, Buffalo fans. So we'll take a quick break. We'll jump into some ads, and then we'll come back real quick. And we got plenty. Dude, I have so many notes. By the way, Buffalo was like this much of my notes. I got a full page. So we are like full. Oh, you can't see that. Full page notes. So we have a ton of stuff we're going to cover, and we'll jump right into this. So stay tuned. Appreciate it. Love you.
The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. And of course, if you're listening to this, you're probably a Red Wings fan. You can definitely bet the puck line, the total, the money line, how many goals are going to be scored, over or under. Example is most of them are coming up is at 6. So you can be over 6 goals or under 6 goals. I mean, you can get all the action at Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive award. Bonus bet expires 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And we're back, and we're jumping right into this. So We're talking about real quick. Again, this is something that I think is going to be explored. But the Rangers are being accused of soft tampering. By the way, soft tampering means that you're trying to do an underhanded deal. And tampering also is like, hey, like you're making deals before the time you're allowed to do it, or you're trying to poach a player. In this case, it's like it says soft tampering. So supposedly, the Ottawa Senators owner is accusing the New York of putting out posts and talking to the New York Post about, hey, it sounds like like the owner of the New York Rangers is saying like, hey, we're looking at getting Brady Tkachuk, who's the captain of the Ottawa Senators, who has a no trade clause, no movement clause, so he can't be traded unless he chooses to go there, and basically had them supposedly put out an article that they're pursuing Brady Tkachuk, and everyone lost their minds. Like, oh my god, like Brady Tkachuk's getting traded? Like Brady doesn't know he's getting traded. The owner of the Ottawa Senators doesn't know he's trying to be traded. Like no one knows anything. Like, and so basically the idea was around this stir this kerfuffle and cause drama that they're trying to make this move for Brady Tkachuk, and it's been happening for weeks and everything. And it's like, and these Ottawa Senators guys like, no, that's tampering. Like we're not trading them. There's no talks of him trading him. Like you're lying. You're making stuff up, and that's harmful for the franchise, and you're going to hurt the values because now the fans are going to hate me for trying to trade it, and now they're going to speculate about it, and so it's harmful in the sense of the trading or the rumors. And I think that the Ottawa Senators are calling it soft tampering, which is a kind of like a dig, right? It's like a pretty big accusation to be tampering, which by the way everyone does, but like supposedly the NHL is trying to crack down on it. Supposedly, it's silly, honestly. Everyone does it, and so if you're not cheating, you're not trying. In this case, when it comes to contracts, I don't believe in the cheat. Anyway, so the idea around it is that the Rangers need to be doing something, right? And they're just trying stuff. They're throwing mud at walls and trying to get their fans excited because they're also not doing that great either. We'll look at the standings right here. Rangers actually are now back into a playoff spot, 31 points in 28 games. And they've just won their first game in a bit. In their last 10, they're 3-7-0. I mean, that's basically Buffalo Sabres territory, who are 2-5-3. Not much. Actually, in their last 10, Buffalo is doing better than the Rangers, which is crazy. And they're a huge difference in performances. Rangers definitely doing a spark. They traded their captain. Was it last week or earlier this week? It was last week. It was last week. So you trade your captain, which is definitely a huge room shakeup. I mean, they got to win. Again, they beat Buffalo, so I don't know how much you want to say it's a win-win, but you're in the back of the playoff spot, which is good. Against you're fighting against like a team like the Philadelphia Flyers, the New York Islanders for these spots. Like it's such a mid-off right now. It's crazy. Like no one wants these spots. Like there's like a clear, distinct winners. Clear to see people who are in playoff spots that want these spots, and it's wild, man. So, anyways, we're gonna move on to the next thing. One thing is Toronto waives. Oh, we got a couple waves actually. I have it down on my other list. Let me see. Boston waives Alex Regula. And Oilers actually put in a claim for him, by the way. So Alex Regula didn't start with the team. He had a season an injury at the start of the season, which is why he didn't start with the Boston Bruins. He's a right-handed defenseman, and last year in the AHL had 26 points in 55 games, so about a half point per game defenseman. That's good. That's a good player. He's like a fringe NHL player, but right-handed defensemen are so highly coveted right now in the NHL because it's just there's a lack of talent on the right-handed defenseman, and it's just like the market, right? So like people are willing to pay extra for a right-handed defenseman to play that right side. I.e., look at what the Red Wings paid Justin Hall 2 years ago, right? Or last summer's, not this summer, the summer before's, to pick up Justin Hall for a right-hand defenseman. They paid way too much and for way too long. And so Oilers are like, hey, like why not? Let's try it out, and maybe it'll work, and maybe it won't. But like, hey, Oilers are just like kind of tinkering. To me, they're kind of tinkering around the edges, trying to find pieces that may work. I mean, they're in a playoff spot in the third spot in the Pacific. There's a bit of a good gap between the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights, but overall, like they're playing overall really well. I mean, you have a McDavid again. You have McDavid, the best player in the world to ever play the game. So that doesn't hurt either. But if you look at their right side and look at their depth chart, when it comes to defense, on the right side you have Evan Bouchard, Troy Stetcher, and Ty Emerson. And really, Troy Stetcher in 24 games, 4 points, and Ty Emerson in 26 games, 6 points. So you're like, hey, like, let's try it. Like, why not? Let's try them out. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, we'll just put them on waivers again, and we'll try it and send it back. Like, it's not a big deal. So you might as well try it out. And so I think it's a good bet. It's a good, easy bet. And again, you're not really looking. You're also, the nice thing about picking up Alec Regula is that if he works out on the right side, then you can trade away one of your other depth defensemen. And like, let's say he works out really well on the right side, then you trade for another right-handed defenseman, or maybe you don't have to. Maybe he works out so well you don't need to trade for a right-handed defenseman. He fits into your system, and you don't have to make any big moves, which would be a win for both parties, because I think Alex Regula, I mean, you're playing with Connor McDavid and some of the best players in the league. I think you're absolutely willing to try that out. So, by the way, crazy enough, Alex Regula is actually originally a Red Wings draft pick back in 2018 for the Red Wings. So that is a bummer, because that is a player that it's a right-handed defenseman that I think the Red Wings would like to try anyways. It'd be nice to have a guy like that, to be honest. So, also on the waiver wire, again, we have Dakota Mermis for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Alex Nylander. So again, we talked about Alex Nylander. He got signed to the AHL and then got signed to an NHL contract because Toronto Maple Leafs had so many injuries. Toronto Maple Leafs have a lot of guys have started to come back, so their injured people are healed or doing better from their injuries. So they're like, we don't need Alex Nylander anymore. So they are waiving him to send him down to the minors. We'll see if he gets claimed. I think he actually might get claimed because he showed like he has some prowess and everything. We can actually even look him up because I'm curious on where he's at. Because he didn't play a ton of games. He played 5 games, 0 points. He's got 4 penalty minutes, so not really producing. But again, he was playing with his brother, which I think was a really cool part. He had to play with his brother on the same team. I think they played on the power play together too. Again, and Dakota Mermis is a guy that the Toronto Maple Leafs signed at the start of last year, and at the start of this year, he ended up getting injured in his jaw, ended up having surgery, went on a conditioning stint, and is now being waived to be sent down to the minors. So I think he'll clear. I don't think anyone will claim him, just because they haven't seen anything from him yet. But I think if I remember correctly, and we can just pull it up with Dakota Mermis, because I think he ended up having like 3 points in the AHL. I mean, nothing crazy. 3 points in 2 games. We'll pull him up real quick. Where you at, bro? Dakota Mermis. Here we are. Pulling up his stats from this year. And the nice thing is it was originally, I think, Minnesota Wild. Oh, no, Arizona Coyotes. In 3 games down in the AHL, he had 1 assist. So I don't think he's getting claimed. Maybe Alex Nylander, goodness gracious. I mean, Alec Regula and Alex Nylander's mixed up. But I think with Dakota Mermis, I think he's fine. He'll pass through, so that's not a big deal. Moving on to another big, this is actually pretty big news in this case, is the NHL wanting to allow, the NHL is talking to the International Ice Hockey Federation, which is the IIHF, for the Olympics. They're talking to them about and wanting them players to allow players to play for Italy with Italian heritage. Now, most guys like this play American, right? Because they're from America, they're born here, everything. But again, in America we have a huge mixture of cultures, right? A lot of people come here. No one's really from America. They're all like from other places, or their parents came here. Their relatives came to settle here, and then you become American in this like mixing melting pot. And so the idea around this is that the issue is that currently is that to play for the Italian team for the Olympics in 2026, you need to play 2 consecutive seasons repping in an Italian league or repping Italy internationally. Now, most guys are like, man, we want to play with the Americans because it's the best players and they do really well in the ice hockey, competitions and everything. So they're looking, and also if they have already played with the U.S. internationally, you would need 4 consecutive seasons, according to the IHF, to be able to play for Italy. So they're like, well, listen, they're NHL players. They want to represent their original country of their family origin, right? Their DNA test. They identify as Italian, right? Like I was born, my last name's French, right? But like I also I'm half Polish because my mom is full blown Polish, right? So like I would like, oh my man, like I would love to. I like the option, right? Although it would be cool to be like being representing America, right? I mean, like if I don't make the American team, well, it'd be really cool to play for Poland or like France if they'll have me. I don't think they're gonna give me. They're not gonna let me play, but you know, it'd be really cool. It'd be a good opportunity for some of these older players that maybe not make won't make the team, right? Because we found a lot of the guys that we know the U.S. roster for the 4 nations, which is kind of a representation of what the Olympics should look like in 2026. So the 4 nations tournament is happening in 2025 this February, and again, it's kind of representative of what the Olympics team should look like in 2026. But some guys who I'll go through the list who could qualify. Marcus and Nick Foligno, Adam Fantilli, Mark Giordano, who's currently does not have an NHL contract. Alex Pietrangelo, who does have a contract or is on the U.S. team, I believe. He's on the U.S. team. Matt Zuccarello, Vincent Trocheck, who also made the U.S. team. Frank Vetrano, Andrew Mangiapane, Cole Perfetti, good young guy, Tyler Toffoli, Anthony Cirelli, Brett Pesci, Mario Ferraro. So like, there's a lot of guys that are not making the team that potentially could go play internationally for Italy, which I think would be really cool. Keeps the guys active. They get to work. They get to continue. They get to represent their country, which is the biggest thing, right? And they also get to continue like instead of taking the break for the 4 nations or the Olympics, they get to represent their country, which I think is just. I mean, it's cool they're playing still. But like they should represent their country, or I feel like they identify as. Again, if they don't make the U.S. team, it's like, well, like I can go play for Italy, right? Again, same reason I'm not going to make the American team. Maybe Poland will let me do it. I don't know. I don't know how good Poland's international team is. So, but mind you, right now in the Olympics, Italy is ranked 20th in ice hockey. So this would give them a huge leg up if some of the Italians could be able to play that are again they're already playing in the NHL and they're not going to make the team. So it's not like you're taking too many guys away from U.S. to go play for Italy. But I think it'd be really cool to do that. So we got a signing. The Blue Jackets signed Luca Marreli to his ELC. He's got 14 goals and 40 points in 30 games with the Ottawa Generals, drafted in this past year in 2024, 3rd round, 86 overall. Again, right-handed defenseman. You're trying to get this guy because he's a right-handed defenseman. It's like, hey, dude, like, cool. Like, you get a guy that is like a highly coveted position, and like, let's get him in the system as fast as possible. He's performing really well, and as a defenseman, having over a point per game in the OHL is huge in juniors. So he's already proven that he doesn't have much more to learn down there. So let's sign him to ELC, let him finish the year out with the Ottawa Generals, and then next year put him in the AHL, let him develop for a year or two, and then bring him up. Again, he's a 3rd round pick. It's looking really good for him. So like, good for the Jackets. Like a good signing and everything too. So I'm happy for them. We do have plenty of other news. But let's jump into our last break, and then we will hit the rest of this news. We got an owner passed away. We get the Jets and the Bruins game, 8-1. That was a tilt, man. Lane Hutson news. Everyone loves that. And Demko as well. Talking about him a little bit. So we'll see you in just a few minutes.
You know what that sound is? That's the sound of ice skates skating on the ice at your favorite team's hockey game. You know, there's nothing like the excitement of being at a game, the crowd, the energy, the roar, the chants, the songs. It's just so much to it. And the best way you're going to be able to find an amazing seat and an amazing game is going to be at Game Time. Game Time also has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. And my wife and I were actually end up going to a Detroit Red Wings game on December 2nd, I believe it is. That's one that we're looking at, and talk about a super deal. And you can actually find any concert tickets there. You can do comedy. There's so many different options there. They also have curated deals to make it easier to find the best deals on great seats. And also you can see the view of your seat before you buy. They have a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection as well. One thing I really enjoy about it is the all-in pricing. Toggle this feature to show the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. So you can also get a panoramic, again, talking about your view, it's a panoramic view. You can see the sea, not just like, well, look at the stage. You get the full panoramic view. And they also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And so take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
I just read some news. Patrick Laine brought some friendship bracelets to share during a visit to a Canadians or during the Habs visits, the Montreal Canadiens visit to a children's hospital, which is very cute and nice. So you can kind of see in the video if you're checking it out on YouTube, which is very cute. It's hard to see because of the blur. But anyways, we're going to move to the next part of the news. Let's talk about the tilt that we saw with the Jets versus the Bruins. I mean, 8-1. And by the way, Swayman was left in goal for all those goals. That was tough, man. 27 saves on 35 shots. That is a tough night. No empty netters or anything. And by the way, there's actually ended up being 3 fights. Frederick versus David Gustafson, Kastlik and Logan Stanley go at it. And then in the third period, Captain Adam Lowry goes after Nikita Zadorov. What a tilt. And I would say what a tilt in the sense that Zadorov hit Lowry and knocked him right down. And that was just tough. Although you do love to see Adam Lowry captain to standing up for the Winnipeg Jets and his guys. But again, they were already beating them. So again, it was a quick one shot. And it was getting so bad and so chippy that Scott Arniel of the Winnipeg Jets and Joe Sacco, head coaches of the respective teams, Sacco of Bruins and Arniel of the Jets, were spouting off of the mouth too. They were yelling at each other across the benches. And I love that energy. That is huge because it's just like, it just shows, again, that's what like Buffalo's missing. Like, if you're not going to be a good team, be a fun team, right? Like, go beat the nails off someone and just like just make it a bloodbath and just show that you have some fight left in you and get your fans excited. Like that's what it should be. Like, Buffalo, their next home game should just go full tilt. If they're not winning and they're it's not even close. Let's say it's a 2-goal gap. Just fucking start fighting and get some guys riled up, right? Like, you just need someone to just go full blown. Like, you need Nicholas Aube-Kubel, not a high talent guy, but he seems like a good dude. Stanley Cup winner. Just have him go out there and just beat the nails off someone, dude. Like, it doesn't, like, I don't know, like, fire your guys up. Get them so excited about this. And, like, yeah, you put your guys at disadvantage. But, like, hey, dude, like, it's about the long-term plan of firing these guys up. That's what I like. And by the way, funny enough, I talk about the Jets and Bruins, and suddenly Buffalo, I get another opportunity to shit on Buffalo. To me, I'm so frustrated with them. I have like a soft spot for like teams like Buffalo and the Columbus Blue Jackets. I just want them to do well. And it's so sad. It's so just a bummer because they had good players. They just need to figure out how to put the pieces together, right? So make a beautiful puzzle, guys. It's Christmas. It's Christmas time. It's holidays time. Kwanzaa time. Whatever you want. So, we'll finish up with some hockey news, and then we have the owner who passed away. Lane Hutson is the 8th rookie defenseman with 21 points in his first 30 career games. And the only players who have more than that are Quinn Hughes, GOAT, Norris winner, Nick Lidstrom, multiple Norris winner, Larry Murphy, I'm sure, and Brian Leach, who I'm sure are one of the Norrises. I don't know the history that far back. So that's a good thing to see. Lane Hutson has been struggling a little. I mean, honestly, the Montreal Canadiens have been struggling in general. 25 points in 28 games. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. They're minus 22 goal differential. Ugh, that's rough. That is second worst. Oh my goodness. Never mind. They're third worst in the league, to Nashville and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Oh my God, Nashville has. I think we gotta talk about Nashville. Dang it, I was not planning on talking about Nashville. What are you doing, dude? How do you have 20 points? You're tied with the Chicago Blackhawks. You're bad. We got to say this tomorrow. I can't talk about Nashville right now. I haven't done enough research, but you're bad. Holy smokes. You're 1-6-3, and you're also on a losing streak versus, dude. They're also on an 8-game losing streak like Buffalo is. What is happening? What are you doing, Buffalo? Goodness gracious. Okay. We'll talk about them tomorrow. I'll write that down. We'll talk about them more tomorrow. Talking about Vancouver Canucks, Demko is back. He actually played a game. Ends up losing 4-3, and he's been injured. He hasn't played a game yet this season. Made his debut. He's gonna be rusty. He has injuries. He's working through and everything. It started back last year in the playoffs, and they're like, oh, he's gonna take a couple days off, and then he's take a week off, and then it was in the whole playoffs, and it was kind of a big saga. And they really like, oh man, like he's coming back. Don't worry, we're good. And he's supposed to come back the start of this year. He doesn't. And then they had to sign Kevyn Adams, who's doing really well. And then Archer Seeloff's like he's a rookie goalie. He's a young goalie who just hasn't. He's not fully up. He's a backup basically. But again, the Kevyn Adams is like looking one of the best goalie signings this year. But he puts up a negative 1.78 goals above expected, which basically means of the shots taken, he let in about 1.78 goals more than he should have. He let in 4 goals total, right? But he just let in more goals than he should have, right? Based on where the shots were taken, he was expected to save them. Goal save above expected, right? So he had a negative, so he let in more goals than was expected, which just shows that he's a little rusty. It's gonna take some time, and goalies take a little bit of time. Goalies are weird. You can have a really hot goalie, a really cold goalie. Look at Joey Dakota. Joey Dakota out in Seattle has never been a starter. Looks phenomenal this year. And honestly, Canada wanted him as his goaltender, and they couldn't do it because he didn't have a passport for the for the 4 nations. They couldn't qualify him, which is a bummer for Canada. So we'll see. But anyway, so last bit of news we have is a co-majority owner of the Seattle Kraken, passed away at 82, David Bonderman. He was a part owner. He did insurance and venture capital, I believe. He's a part owner of the Boston Celtics. So my condolences out to the Bonderman family. And by the way, I just want to tell you about this legacy that he's leaving. I think it's kind of cool. And billionaires do some cool things, man. And there's some things that I'm like, oh man, that's kind of vain. It's kind of like it's cool that but it's also like there's cool opportunities you get to do. So there's 2 things I want to highlight with his birthday parties. And actually, side note before the birthday parties, you get to be owner of a team. That's pretty cool, man. Like it's cool to be like, hey, like these are the guys, like, and I'm investing in these guys, and like if the team does well, like it's really cool. If they don't do well, you're kind of like, oh well, shit, like maybe I'm still making money off them. Right, so it's kind of like a yin yang. It feels like a win-win, right? You get to represent a team. If they do well, then they're doing well, and you make more money because they're doing well. Because people want to come to the games. They're not doing well. Well, sports franchises are going up in value, so long term they're probably end up making money anyway. So, but in this case, he passes away. And one of the things I want to highlight is on his 60th birthday in Vegas, he paid for the Rolling Stones and John Mellencamp to both play sets. And who hosted between and was doing an act between them was Robin freaking Williams, which is crazy that he had him, an iconic comedian, doing like just crowd work and everything for that event. It ends up being one of the most expensive private concerts ever held at $7 million for it cost him, which is crazy. So you think, and I'm like, man, that's a pretty wild thing to say. So we're looking at his 70th birthday, and I'm gonna do some quick calculations to this next part, just so I have the numbers proper. But with his 70th birthday, he brings in Paul McCartney of the Beatles to play a set, and guess who hosts it and does a little comedy act? Robin Williams. Again, 10 years later. I mean, this guy that's phenomenal. That's how you spend your money, is get guys that are epic. And again, Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, John Mellencamp, Robin Williams, like those are some good acts to be able to get. So I'm really happy that he was able to do that and spend the money on this. That's a pretty fun thing to do. And it's not harmful, I don't think, at least. And then one on his 70th birthday that he had Paul McCartney play. Which I thought this was really cool. He donated $1,000 to every guest charity of their choice. And what do you do? 50 guests? You're like, how much? Probably 50 guests, like 100 guests. It was 1,000. 1,020 guests, which was an extra $1,020,000 that he donated just to charities, just because he could. And I thought that was really cool. And I know people are like, "Oh, billionaires don't donate enough. It's only X number of percent." It's like, dude, like, it's so cool. If you had $1 million, would you donate it? Like, how much did you donate? So it's so cool he was able to do that for a party that he threw. He paid for it, and he also donated $1,000 to everyone's charity, which is really cool. So, anywho, that is the news of the day. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit like, subscribe. Oh, I always forget to mention this. The reason it says 28 days, 28 out of 45, is because I've recorded a podcast every day for the last 28 days, and we're keeping the streak going. We're doing Christmas. I did Thanksgiving. We're doing Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve. So we're doing everything. So let me know what your thoughts are. Hit like, subscribe. I appreciate it. I'm going to bed because it's past 1 o'clock now, and I'm ready for it. Love you guys. Bye.